Welcome back to Legacy Builders, everybody. We have two very, very special people on here today. They're pretty much family to us. I remember growing up, Mike was always just in my life, and we called him Uncle Mike, and then he married this incredible woman, Sharrana, and we were in their wedding as just a young little 13-year-old me, walking down the aisle in the wedding. So yeah, they're very, very special to us, and my dad even has a longer history with Mike, and so I don't know.
Yeah, well, just not to jump ahead, but Mike and I have been business partners in many different things, real estate and another business that we'll kind of get into later. But as Madison and I have been sharing components of legacy, business, and just the friendship that we have and have made with Sharrana now, and we just love doing life with Mike and Sharrana, and we're just thankful that they would come on and just be part of our Legacy Builders podcast and just have some fun. So thank you guys for being on.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you for the invite. Appreciate it.
Absolutely.
Love doing life with you all too.
Yes.
Good, because you're not leaving.
Right.
You're not getting rid of us. I just know I've even called Sharrana just some of the times just to hear from her wisdom and everything. And so I'm just excited for like viewers and generations beyond to have this wisdom from Mike and Sharrana as well. So
Well, I say this all the time, like almost, we pick out our guests, especially the female guests, on purpose, because and this isn't to say Jodi is not adequate, and she's a very powerful woman. We have Jodi's a great wife, great mom, but to also surround Madison with other powerful, great women. And that's what I just so appreciate about Sharrana, and just to have her as an example for Madison to look up to and, ask questions and just become, friends with and mentor her. So thank you for all you do for that. And yeah.
Thank you.
She is an amazing young woman, and so it's such a beauty to be around and a joy. I just love you, Madison. From day one.
I love you both so much.
Well, this is why it's so cool. And I mean, back to when she was a little 13-year-old walking down the aisle in your wedding. Now here she is, 21, and we're on a podcast and starting to impact lives and get messages out there. So you've seen a lot of her growth.
It might actually be, I might have been younger than 13. How long have you guys been married?
Been 11 years.
11 years here.
Yep, it was definitely younger.
I was like, I'm not quite sure you were 13. But
Sharrana, you're originally from the Bahamas. And so tell us a little bit about how you met Mike in America over here.
Nebraska, middle of Nebraska meets Bahamas.
Exactly. It
was maybe the opposite. I met her.
I was just going to say, I did not come to the United States. I was at home on my little island.
Minding her own business.
Minding her own business.
Minding my own business, yes. And
comes this white boy from Omaha.
My goodness. The Bohemian found a Bahamian.
Oh, there you go.
But I grew up in Nassau, Bahamas with a friend, James Hepburn, and he actually was the one that we met through. He and his wife chose to get married in the Bahamas. She is from Nebraska, and he brought her down. She and I connected a whole lot, and she asked me to stand in the wedding. Mike, being really good friends with him, having met him up here in Nebraska, he asked him to stand in the wedding, and then they paired us. And we walked down the aisle with them. Then 2 years later, we walked down the aisle for ourselves.
Second time, yeah.
Second time.
By then.
And then you came to Nebraska and you were like, what did I get myself into this first winter?
Oh my goodness. Every time I visited while we were recording, there was something not normal that was
this
happening.
Isn't normal. This usually doesn't happen.
It
would
happen.
Oh
my goodness. It was like
33 below
worst winter.
when she's here,
Yeah. And then I was expecting for the summers to be very mild. And then to get that the summers are worse than in the Bahamas, the humidity and the high temperatures and the heat index, it was just, what is this? God, are you sure? And it was almost like he was showing me the worst of all that Nebraska had to offer so that I could make a really good decision in marrying this one, you know, but it was
and now you guys have 3 little boys, and how old are they now?
Yeah,
6, 5, and 2.
Nathan is, David is 5, and Caleb is 2.5.
Yeah,
can't believe it.
Hashtag boy parents.
Yeah, they're all boy,
yes.
active. They love the arts.
Yeah,
take after their dad, wanting to always draw or paint or color. And then Nathan is the outdoors person. Anything yard work he is down for.
passionate about mowers.
Absolutely passionate.
That would come in handy.
And he has all of his brothers falling right in line. They follow him in that.
Good to have that early on, because Riley was not passionate about
Yes, keep feeding that passion.
Yeah.
I know.
Yeah, it's funny. What was hilarious, one of the days, sorry, I got to tell the story.
yeah.
I'm at home with him over the summer, right? And he wants to go outside and play. I'm just like, yeah, go outside. You know, he does real good, you know, out in the front yard and stuff. Well, apparently he took the little tractor with the wagon. He had my broom from the garage, his little weed eater, all the stuff, and then was driving down to the neighbors' properties. And he would pretend to mow their lawn, and then weed eat the whole thing, and then he would grab the broom and he would sweep their driveway clean. This was all happening while I was there, and you know, he would come in and check up, you know, grab a drink or whatever. How's things going out there? Great, awesome. All of a sudden he comes back and goes, the neighbors are giving me these, like, funny. $13 from. What happened? You give it to me when I sweep their driveway. I was like, what? You swept their driveway? What happened here? I swept it, and then I got to go back out because it's not done. Some of those driveways are filthy. I was like, just knock on the door and ask first, because I mean, it's a little
weird.
Yeah.
Get out there sweeping their driveway for them.
That's awesome.
Oh, my
Yeah, that passion has not deterred, not let up at all. We kind of think that, okay, you know, him running around the house with the mower, you know, okay, that'll, you know, eventually fade away. No, it's even more so. Addicted to YouTube, all mower videos.
Oh
Wow.
my goodness.
I know a lot about mowing now because of the video.
All the time. All the time.
And if somebody has their lines messed up, he's gonna let them know. So that's the little. You did those lines last week. You can't mow the same way this week. You gotta.
Oh my god.
Yeah, that's true, but relax, buddy. So apparently, I'm gonna have to start a mowing business.
Right.
Apparently.
Coming soon.
It's not going to be yours. It's going to be his.
It's gonna be his, right?
It is.
Right.
As soon as he can get that mower in his hand.
Yeah, he's like, Mom, when can I start my mowing business? And I was like, buddy, as soon as you can push that mower all on your own,
Yeah.
and get everything done, you can have that business. And trust me, he is working. He's like working out, training. He takes the real lawn mower when it's off, and he would go in the front yard, and he would do the lines, pushing that mower back and forth in our front yard.
Not on, so no
Not
self-propelled.
on. He's just
yeah. And I don't know if this is like child abuse or anything, but I've had him. He's 6 and he's already mowed the backyard. I'll just stand there and kind of watch him, and he'll push it himself. And
he
was
wants
like,
to do it.
all right.
Definitely not.
There might be some- just edit that part out if there is.
Yeah.
But he does it in the backyard where there's a fence so nobody else can see him. But
He's
That's
passionate
so cool.
about it, so
Yeah.
we just want to encourage him in that,
Absolutely.
so keep it going.
Yeah. Well, how incredible that at 6 he's already talking about his own business.
yeah,
And I mean, obviously that has to do with you as parents, and we'll get into that in just a second. But we want to know a little bit more just about like what you guys were when you were little. Like, what were you like? What was growing up with your parents like? Tell us a little bit of your story.
yeah. Who was it first?
Mike, you go first. 'Cause we don't know where you're from yet.
Stories, but when it end solid. Growing up, I think the biggest thing I learned from my parents is work ethic. You know, that whole Midwest work ethic thing. I mean, that's my parents. Working from, I mean, their childhood was, you know, on farms and all. So, I mean, it's daylight hours. You're up at the crack of dawn, and you're up at the other, or you're done by the other crack. So it's like you're working all day long, and it's nonstop on the farm. So that translated into their lives. So when you go to, my dad worked obviously early in the morning until afterwards, but then after that, it's working in the garage and helping out, you know, grandpa on the farm, or you know, plenty of stuff with gardening around the house. So lots of stuff. And mom always had something to do, you know, helping out, you know, churches, helping out, you know, friends and stuff. She would always help out with that. But mostly she was a homemaker after working from the bank, and then she had us. So I think that was the biggest thing, is that it's like, wow, okay, this is kind of what you do. So I think that was probably the biggest thing that was instilled in me, is like, you do whatever it takes.
Right.
You know, and going through hard times growing up, that's what I saw, is like, my parents never went to like to get assistance or anything. It was like, no, we're going to get through this. I mean, if it means I got to pick up an extra job here, I got to do this. It's like, we just make it happen. And I think that was for me, because I remember in college, you know, if I ran into a hard time or made a mistake, or, you know, lost money on something, it was like, okay, well, time to get another part-time job. All right. You know, so I'd have my daytime job and then another job at night, you know, they work like 2 hours a night, whatever, and make that up. Okay, now I'm back to where I need to be and I'm done. So, and I remember friends saying that, it's like, you just go, you just do it. And no matter what, it's like, well, I got to, you know, make things happen. And that's where that started from, was for my parents, you know, just make it happen. And that work ethic comes into play. And I think that's a huge thing to leave to our little guys, because especially with, I mean, of course, millennials and anybody younger gets always labeled with the, you know, entitlement and all that stuff. And yes, absolutely, that's out there and stuff. But it's like, gosh, if we can teach just the solid work, a lot of, I mean, if it's an employment position, that's what they're looking for, is good employees. But then as a business owner too, that, you know, if you have to be employed, go do that. But then you're at home, you're working till night. They see mommy and daddy both doing that. You know, yes, we have our family time for balance, but after the little guys go to bed, we're working, or when they wake up, we're working, we're doing whatever we need to do. So they see that. I mean, that's just kind of how we're built. You know, yeah, I mean, you also got to deal with well, Mike, are you working harder and not smarter? You know, that type of thing, or you're working too hard and not smart enough. And I've dealt with that a couple of times, you know, where it's like, gosh, am I actually just working too hard, or not doing the right things, or putting your efforts in the right thing? I think there's always that question, but the solid foundation of willing to work, willing to do what it takes, I think even overrides that. I think the opportunity will come for those smarter things, and they have come along the way because of hard work ethic. People are willing to give you more opportunity or partner with you in different things. So if that makes any sense.
Oh yeah. What we find out later is that as you work hard and you start to accumulate stuff, later, all of a sudden looking back, you're like, oh, he did work hard and smart, because you know, you may not look like it now, but with the accumulation of those efforts, now becomes residual. And And then looking back, you're like, oh wow, he was working hard and smart.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
So I think that was probably the biggest thing that I took from my parents. That never giving up, you never quit, you just keep going. Take the hit, but don't stop. Just keep working through it.
Yeah, I can
So,
attest to that when I find emails in my email box at 3 a.m. Hey, I just finished this file. Yeah.
More often than not.
yeah.
Yeah.
So,
What
Well,
about you, Sharrana? Yeah.
so born and raised in Nassau, Bahamas. My parents were married for the first part of my childhood. I think I was about 12 when they decided to separate and then later divorce. But I remember in the early years being a family on one accord. My dad would wake us up for morning devotions and was just, we were a family that Sundays we wanted to set the table and have a seat at the table and have dinner all together in a traditional fashion on a Sunday, after church. We would look forward to things like that. And spending time together, and we would dream big dreams about music or traveling or just ministry things. So it was pretty devastating when they chose to separate, but we understood, and at that point I think I was about 12 years old, so I was able to understand it a little bit more, and my older sister as well. But my younger brothers, I think, felt more of the impact of that separation. I think, hindsight, looking at it now, I feel like I dealt with a lot of struggles in my teenage and young adulthood because of that, but grew so much from it. But my mom, after the divorce, we lived with her, and she was such a strong single parent. She went to school, completed her bachelor's degree while working with 4 kids. She went through, pushed, and achieved promotion after promotion in her job at the electrical company there in the Bahamas in the human resources field. She ended up even furthering herself to accomplish her master's in business administration, even as a single mother. And she was pretty much the primary caretaker at that time as well. So I just admired her perseverance, her ambition, and her fortitude to be able to just push through and complete that kind of thing. She ended up being in one of the top levels of management in the human resources department as a benefits and compensation officer. And her heart for people was just evident, because in a company, predominantly male-oriented company, because of the field, she knew everyone, and because of the line of work she did, she had to know their families, their spouses, and their children, because of the insurances and different things, needing to get forms and everything completed. And so she would go out of her way to know everybody's name, their child's name, their wife's name, and we'd drive on the street and she'll see somebody working on a pole and she'll be like, oh, this is so and so, and she'll stop and she'll talk to them, and everybody knew Miss Thompson, and they always spoke so highly of my mom, and it just gave me such great pride to know that other people admired her in this way as well, because of just who she was, who she is. She is just such a giving spirit, a giving heart. She would give her last to anyone in need. But she is also so fair and so wise. She's such a strong mediator. I find myself ending up stepping into situations trying to find balance and compromise and be fair. And I recognize those qualities as qualities from my mom. definitely. And I definitely appreciate that from her. She can be tough when she needs to and firm, but such warmth and compassion. And now as an adult with children now too, I've come to honor and respect my father even for the seeds that he's planted in me. I'm passionate about worship, worship ministry, and I definitely didn't buy that, like we say in the Bahamas. It is something that my father has always been passionate about. He's a psalmist, and he would sing to us. I remember my mom telling me stories about being a little girl, a child, just whether I'm cranky, tired, miserable, just unable to fall asleep, just restless. And he would walk up and down the halls singing and worshiping until we passed out and went to sleep on his shoulders, or he would come in our rooms, if we woke up in the middle of the night, and he would, sing worship songs over us. Or we would wake up in the morning with him worshiping, during his devotion time. And to this day, it hasn't changed.
He was just here, and it was the same thing.
And it's the same
what is
thing.
that noise downstairs? What is that?
He is definitely a worshiper. And I served on the worship team. I guess we're going a little deeper on the worship team in the Bahamas at Bahamas Faith Ministries with Pastor Mark Bethel, and he was also my dad was on a praise team with Pastor Mark Bethel when they were much younger. And I remember while I served under Pastor Mark Bethel, he would always talk about my dad being on the team. They called the team the highest praise. And they would talk about, other people leading the praise songs. And then, somebody would start the worship and like get them right there to the gate of the Holy of Holies. And my dad would be the one that they would end up handing that baton to and saying, hey, you take us there. You now prophetically worship and sing and welcome the Holy Spirit and just, welcome that presence and take us there. And he was the guide that they would go to. And I think he still is. He has such a heart for worship. And I find a lot of who I am rooted and grounded in that part of him, so I honor him for that gift that he has provided me with. So
your mom, well, on that same topic of worship, I mean, you guys both are on the praise team, so your kids see this, and they're even into music now. They see you guys being part of that, so this legacy will continue into the next generation as well.
They're singing because we got to rehearse at home, and they're right there singing with us. I'll be done with the song or turn it down, and they're still singing in the other room. It's like, oh wow, it's such a cool thing when it happens. It's like, oh, wow. Or you hear them singing in the back. It's like, oh, you know this song, It's pretty good. Even the 2-year-old. So Caleb, I caught him on tape one time for everybody to see, and Nathan loves guitar and drums. We got him some drums and all this stuff, and David loves to sing. Caleb loves it all.
Yeah,
so,
they really do. One day, since we told a story about Nathan, David loves to sing. I think he has a heart of a worshiper as well. We were at church doing sound check, and they had like a pastor's mic stand at the foot of the stairs. And while we're up there singing, I caught from the corner of my eye him, by the mic stand, and he's holding the mic stand and he's singing and rocking with it as we're singing. And then all of a sudden I realized that one of the stage lights shifted to a spotlight on him while he's down there leaning and swinging the mic and singing and worshiping. And I realized that the guys in the sound booth and the production booth had seen him and decided to throw some light on him. So be here Monday. They came to us after service and they were just like, man, he was going in. He was just worshiping on the sideline. We had to put that light on him, you know. So yes, we definitely see those same gifting growing and blossoming in our kids, and it's such a blessing because you know
they model what you do.
They model what you do, and parenting is so hard. See a lot of different things
The
manifest.
Mistakes. It's like, geez.
But it's such a glimmer of hope when you see those really good things, the things that you want to last and be in their lives, you know.
Yeah.
So I think you hit it right on the head. I mean, like when you talk about your dad laid that foundation of, you know, faith and, you know, the kingdom foundation, and you guys are laying that same foundation for your kids, and you're showing them and demonstrating that same, you know, that same foundation. That's, I mean, that's what legacy is about.
By the grace of God.
Yeah.
And then your mom, did she also own some rental?
Yes. So her and my dad actually had gone in with it the same time. It was their marital property. And then my mom ended up, so it was a townhome. It is a townhome with 2 apartments on the side. And then years later, my mom erected a building, another triplex on the property, because we have about an acre or so, a little more than that. And so now she has 5 rental units. So yeah, I think about 4 of them are 2 bedrooms and one is a 1 bedroom. So she manages that, and that, I think that's, she is retired, but that's one of the things that kind of keeps her anchored there. We've been having conversations about her relocating, but that's one of the things that keeps her anchored there, along with the beautiful sun, sand, and sea that she just can't part with. So, but yeah, she definitely has that business mentality. She has a lot of other aspirations, and she's very passionate about health. She is a breast cancer survivor of about 11 years.
Yeah.
It's practically as long as we've been married. She's a breast cancer survivor, and she has always been just adamant on healthy living, healthy eating, and just living right. And so she has a few dreams and aspirations that now that she's retired, she's hopeful to kind of step into and launch. So.
Well, it's cool to see that you guys have also adapted like that business mindset, and obviously your kids already like, when can I start a business? Like, that's so cool to see. So talk us through like some of your journey through that. Like, I know Mike, you've had some real estate ventures and with my dad, and you guys have done a lot of talking just about business structure and all of that. So if both of you want to comment on that, Mike first though.
Okay. Yeah. And that was kind of a little bit to go back in history. My previous wife, Bonnie, that had passed away with cancer, tough time went through, but that was a huge dream of hers. She was in real estate and started developing, property, a property that she had into a triplex, and really passionate about that, taking classes and also. So as we were going through our courting process, as well as being married, unfortunately, we were only married for 9 months, and that push and that struggle with cancer. And I mean, and your guys' family has been incredible. Madison, when you say Uncle Mike and I was around all the time, I was around all the time because your dad opened his home to me and your family did. And that's incredible to have friends like that. Now, getting emotional, sorry about that, but they're the only ones that did that. And in times where I couldn't go home, I couldn't, I'd drive up to my house and couldn't go through the front door. But I was allowed to go through your front door.
Right.
And that changed my view on what a friend, I mean, really is. I mean, it's amazing that level of friendship, you know, that I've experienced and had the opportunity to be a part of, you know. And I mean, literally where there's no expectation of the other friend, and where it's almost like, gosh, I'm totally taking advantage of them, you know. I mean, all this whole, I mean, I was there for months. I mean, you know, while you guys were growing up, you know, and in great times, I slept on the couch, you know, that type of thing. And it's just amazing how, I wish everybody could experience that level of friendship. Different circumstances, for sure,
Right,
but
right.
experience that level of a friendship. And sorry that all came out.
Oh no, that's perfect. I mean, that's part of our story. It's part of our journey. That's why we ain't going nowhere.
Yeah. So, so yeah, after that whole process, I mean, of working through this, that dream was still alive. And a lot of that dream, you know, looking back, you know, my family has been in rental properties, especially the Oborny side, the mom side of my family. I mean, owning rental houses, so that's kind of part of what you do. You know, you get some property, you get people in it. So that was there, but then, especially with the dream with Bonnie, that really sparked, that rekindled that passion. Or it's like, oh yeah, we can do this, and it totally makes sense to do this. So we continue that dream through the you know, acquiring the properties out in Lincoln, the 52 units, you know, all at once.
So we went for it. We're like, let's do it.
Yeah.
Units in Lincoln and triplex and a couple other units, and like, we're gonna go for it.
Here we go. And it was and I think at the time I didn't know a lick about maintenance and all this stuff. I remember, Eric, you walking through me how to change a shower head. That was my first maintenance job ever. I changed a shower head. You put the tape around the thing and then you screw it in.
Screwed it, yeah.
And I looked at it, I'm like, turn the water on, no leaks. And like, I can do anything. And as Eric owns a construction company, so it's like, okay, well, we got that side covered, and then between the management of, you know, different systems that we had established, it's like, I think we can do this. So yeah, plenty of challenges. I mean, obviously with the load of what it is, and before I go into some more stuff, Eric, do you have anything else like on the beginning part of it?
No, we just went. I just remember that first day that we sat down and we were just talking real estate. We just had just a lot in common, and we just clicked. And it was I would say one of the messages I would get to people, you know, in churches, you have these cliques in churches, right? You got here's the worship team over here, here's this other team over here, and they're just all of these little cliques. And you know, Mike was part of this worship team clique, and I wasn't in. I can't sing a lick, you know, and you don't want me singing, right? And so
you can sing a little.
I can sing a little, but not enough to be on the worship team. I can't play a guitar. I can't, you know, do nothing but musically per se. But man, there's just something that clicked with us, and we broke that barrier of cliques, and we went out to dinner, and we found out we had so much more in common in real estate. We're like, well, hey, let's just see how far we can take it, and then just, you know, just do it. And just, I mean, Mike's, you know, my best friend today, and we just, you know, going through that journey and just the real estate, and learned lots of lessons. He didn't turn me into a musician, but I turned him into a painter. I'll tell you that. We would go over to his house, and he's like, "Yeah, I painted my." And sometimes I'm a little too blunt. Sometimes I've grown a lot, and I've tempered myself. But Mike had said, "Yeah, we just painted the walls in the dining room." I said, "I can tell." He's like, "Oh, what do you mean?" So, well, you got more of the ceiling up here than you did on the walls. That cutting line needs to be nice and straight. And So I remember, man, he went back and he painted again.
We
It's like the cutting lines are perfect. Now. Perfect. And
also said you can stand by that wall at a little bit of an angle. You see all those lines you have in your wall, stuff on how you rolled it out. And all
oh yeah, yeah.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
the cutting line's super wavy. It's friendly. It's waving at you, and everything. And now the amazing thing is people actually pay Mike to paint their house and paint rooms, and or at least at one point. That's the one thing I always like about being handy is I'm always for hire. I mean, people always need good people. It's always a good fill-in job. I'm like, I'm never gonna be without a job because I know how to do too much stuff. But
Absolutely.
yeah, that carried you through a lot of stuff too. Just being able to pick up a couple trades.
When I was building other stuff, it's like I always had that construction side of painting jobs and doing different things like that. Yeah, and doing electrical work. So all that would be constantly, going. And it's funny after you left Eric Omaha, I got calls from Eric's old clients. Hey, can you come in on this job? Can you come in?
Right.
Like, we want a big TV up here. Can you do ceiling fans? I was like, yeah, okay. So I was servicing Eric's clients for a good 5 years after.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, that's awesome. And so we, real estate, we actually timing was a little bad, and we end up losing all of the properties to.
You guys got into it right about the market crash.
Right when the market started tanking and crashing back in 2008. Just a lot of people lost real estate. We were one of them, but we are like we know that we're going to be doing something, and so one of the things that we continued on, and which is so fun because now it's not just Mike and I with a business. It's Mike and Sharrana and Eric and Jodi, and now Madison's a little bit part of it. So we started another business called King's Kids. So we're going to plug King's Kids here. Look at this.
Hey, the plug art.
So we leaned on Mike's talents, and Mike's an awesome graphic artist, and yeah, we had just a vision with some of the stuff that we learned.
What's so cool about this too is I watched you guys all sit down and just for years before even this product came into to be, you guys sat down and you brainstormed, all four of you just brainstormed what it was. There was so many things that went into this, and so it was cool to see the start of the business too, as your daughter, as a kid, just wow, it takes a lot to just start with nothing and come up with this idea and this brand and all of this. And so it's cool that you guys have sat down and just created something that could very well be generational, and keep working towards having this for your kids and for your kids, and if they want to be a part of it. But talk to us just a little bit about more on what you guys were thinking and your thought process through the start of this.
Yeah, so I'll start on this part. Eric even had this vision before he approached us with it, probably for a good, I don't know, 2 years maybe, before when you were connected and close to children's ministries, you had noticed this stuff. So even before, I mean, I get little hints of it, along the way, but then finally it was just I need to talk to you guys. And can this be done? And let's get together and let me lay out the vision or lay out the curriculum at the time. Here's kind of the plan. What can we do with this? And different things. I mean, you had a bunch of different ideas, where we can go. I think we landed on, it's well, I think the book is the best, route, or we all kind of decided that was the best route to go with it. And yeah, then it was just, okay, how do we break down all this content, the massive content we have that you already compiled, and then now how do we make it kid friendly? And then how do we write these stories and make this happen? So that was a whole long process, even before, any drawing happened. So, I mean, I'm glad you mentioned that, because there is that whole process of one is the incubation part where it's just ideas, happening, but then it's okay, God started bringing people around it. In this case, the initial partnership was with us, or mentioning it to us to, hey, here's the vision, for this. And it clicked with us. even before we had kids. And then what was neat is we were working on this, and then by the time we had Nathan, and then David was right behind him, they were at the age that we're writing these books for. So it just so happened to come perfect test market, right away.
It's so funny. I'll never forget that you guys sent me a text. That was it Nathan that had the book on the toilet. That was his his preferred bathroom reading. His book.
Yes. That's so funny. And yeah, how that all worked to where they would always want to read King's Kids, and still do. They ask about King's Kids, and the exciting part is working on this next book in the series. I was like, guys, check it out. Daddy just got done with this. We'll have to read it at night. I mean, our nights have been quick, so we need to sit down with them.
Yeah.
Show them the new book. They're like, oh, another one coming. Yeah. What did you see in it? Because you were
the whole process.
Yeah. Because you were coming in the process. You were invited into the process right away.
I do remember sitting in their kitchen, and we were brainstorming. Just the thought of all of the different topics and things that we could present, and I got really excited about it. We had a few
names of the
kids, just the fact that we really wanted it to be very diverse, so that children can see themselves in these characters, and we wanted the characters to have personality, so that even their personalities, even if you don't necessarily see yourself in that particular character looking that way, you can see yourself in that character in their personality type as well. And so we really wanted those things, and then we wanted to have a friendly happy puppy. Everybody has a dog or loves pets. And
inspired by Harley. There we go.
Yes, Harley. And then we definitely wanted to have a character as a guide for the King's Kids, and Aloe came to life in that as a spiritual guide. So it was exciting to walk through this. One thing I must applaud Eric for, he is so diligent and organized. He's definitely a project manager. He will keep you on task, and he will set the timelines, and he is going to stick with those timelines or be the person to enforce or remind, hey, we said we will do this at this time. Where we at,
Keep these creatives in check.
Yes, definitely. It's so good, exactly, because we're creatives. We just let's do it. Let's do everything. Great,
beautiful pictures, colors.
And then I could just keep going down the rabbit hole. But he's like, okay, let's bring that back in. Let's focus in on this, and this is where we're at. So he's been instrumental in every aspect of us actually hitting our goals, hitting our targets with this book and the entire series, from beginning to this point where we're at. So.
And the business connection side, going to conferences and
stuff. And scratch the surface yet, and I'm excited about what the next few years are going to bring, for us in the doors. We've already had tremendous doors open. I think the most surreal thing was Dr. Monroe that inspired all of us to even write these books, and for Sharrana to go and Mike to go back to the Bahamas and present that to their children, to Dr. Monroe's children, and be like, oh my gosh, we've been looking for this, and now to be a part of Monroe Global, and that's just crazy to then to have the inspiration now, be a part of their network. It's just crazy. It's
cool. Totally. I love it. I'm so excited about what's to come next.
What's so cool to witness too is you all bring so many different strengths to the table, where you've have the friendship, and you've learned to then have the business partnership as well. And so how do you manage that friendship that relationship and also being business partners.
Yeah,
That's a good one.
That's a real good one. I think the key in all relationships is just clear communication.
Yeah.
And for us, being open, honest, and transparent with where we're at, what our struggles are, and celebrating our high points together, and just being understanding on both sides. Never selfish, never demanding, or having higher expectations of the other person than we would have for ourselves.
Right.
I think those have been key in our friendship and our relationship and our partnership.
And that's what it's always been, relationship first. Right. I remember a lot of conversations we bring that up is like, hey, is this, we're in this as friends first, and if anything's going to hinder or come in the way of that friendship first, it's like, it's not worth it. Right. Let's find something that we can work together, that we have the same vision, and that's merging that vision together, that purpose and that passion together. But there's still those times where there's life happens, and it's tough times where it's just like, okay, I need a break. I just can't manage it right now. And the understanding is there, but still there's, okay, well, what can we do, in this, or what capacity do you have? So that's always, appreciated, and then it's looked out for. How are you doing? There's never a conversation we have where it's just business, like we just do the agenda. It's always the first part's on how you do it. The friendship is always rekindled, reestablished, and then it also ends with as friends talking about whatever.
But I think also having accountability with each other and being able to respectfully call out any shortcomings or downfalls, mistakes, and then on the other side being able to own those and accept whatever is being said from the other person, because we know that the heart that's behind it is one that loves and is trying to make us better as a team, not just look down upon you, knock you down,
do it again and you're out.
But it's just like
well, that's where I'll add, like, I think part of it is knowing your weakness, and that's where, for me to understand that I can come across the wrong way and be too focused and to know, like, okay, I gotta pull back, and I gotta work on how I'm presenting things, and to remind myself, this is friendship first. This is not business first. Life happens, and as we're building business, this isn't. And I encourage other people to start something on the side. You have your job, you do all this, start a business, do something else on the side. And we don't know. I mean, we know where we want this to take off and grow to, but timing is everything. And we still have life, and we have to work through this. And as we build this and it grow, I mean, we've had a lot of connections and doors open, but I also have to manage my personality type, and I have to manage my temperaments and my expectations and not put those on to everybody else. So I look at what I would say is weakness in knowing that, hey, I can come across the wrong way, and I need to focus and make sure I'm not doing that.
But that's good. That's evidence of you having a strong growth mindset. You're always trying to improve and better yourself and become a better individual person, leader, So kudos to you.
Thanks.
Thanks, kids. It's so awesome. And it's such like a legacy building thing. I mean, throughout the books, you guys are really setting the foundation for all kids out there. And it makes it so simple for parents to even understand foundation too, to be able to teach their kids foundation. And I think that's so cool, and such a cool like legacy part of that. And so I love what you guys are doing. It's just so cool to witness, and so cool to just try to also, for me, figure out where I fit as well. And so, but yeah.
Well, then with, just kind of wrap up the business thing and then, start concluding our segment here, but just, Mike and I were involved in real estate and, I'm an advocate of, we use business and income to create money, but then secure it into real estate. And so that's why even in this partnership, I mean, we will own property again together. We will have real estate, stuff together, or we'll be partners on and what have you. And, that's part of the reason why I'm here building houses, so I can help also set that platform for not just my family, but you're my family too. You guys are my family. So, we're going to have that, be able to have a venue where we can secure, our, money that you guys make, or we make via business, via personal income or whatever, is you're setting stuff aside and we're going to secure it into real estate and let that work. And so that's always still going to be a part of what we do. And just looking forward to, what's the next journey as we continue to grow King's Kids and grow real estate. It's just fun having you guys along for the ride. That's all I got.
Oh yeah, same here.
Definitely. Absolutely.
So one of the questions we ask everybody just to kind of wrap up is, what is one of the greatest lessons that you've learned, or what is some advice that you would give to the next generation that you would want them to know and carry on?
It's a great question. Man, the first thing that comes to mind is when you're buying small appliances, keep the boxes, because then if it breaks down, you can send it back to the store. Other than that,
Oh man.
no.
He is always a comedian.
I love the kind of mine sort of in parts, but knowing who you are, whose you are, kind of gives you that connection to your lineage, your royalty, your connection, your foundation. So knowing that, and then knowing where you came from, kind of the same thing. We're children of God. We're from that heavenly kingdom and put on earth, here to do the king's work here on earth. So that's that authority part of it, which is all great. Well, and it's that potential of authority, but how do we do that here on this earth? And that's where it's like understanding our purpose is how this whole thing flows down into what we're supposed to be doing here on this earth. So I love that combination. It's like, yes, get that foundation right. Who are you? Whose are you? Where did you come from? And then finally, what are you called to do? It's like, once you get that locked down, it's like, now you're ready. And that's probably the biggest thing for our boys. It's just like, man, what is that? And it's cool seeing, we talked about Nathan earlier. It's like, wow, this mowing thing is really, really coming strong, is that it? And just kind of nurture it and just keep putting stuff, keep putting him in situations is he going to get tired of it? I mean, who knows? He could be tired of it. And then, okay, what is it? What is his purpose and assignment? But right now, that's the thing, so, and it's like, find that thing and it'll serve you well, all the way through. If you find it at a young age, a lot of people, I mean, you've heard of this, they go to college to find themselves. It's like, that's an expensive way to find yourself. So that's our goal as parents, is like to get that foundation in them so they already know what they're called, or have a real good idea of the start of that purpose. Obviously God's path will change and expose you to different things, but if you have that mindset, it'll keep you out of a lot of trouble because you're focused on stuff, and everything that's an opportunity isn't an opportunity. So your purpose being your goal is gonna, some opportunities will flow right into it. That's a true opportunity, and then other opportunities would actually be distractions for that. So that's kind of my biggest takeaway.
So I'll piggyback off of that and say that the key thing is relationship, and a twofold kind of relationship with Jesus, knowing whose you are, your identity, that kind of thing, and not misconstruing that with religion, but having a personal relationship with Christ. And then on top of that, having relationship with people, making those two priority in that order: relationship with Christ and relationship with people. That is what we're called to do. That's our mandate here on earth, him, and then each other first. And then everything else will fall in line, fall in place. I think sometimes we can get so distracted on the materialistic things. We're trying to become successful to gain and have so much of everything else in the world, to the point of neglecting relationship with Christ and relationship with each other, even to the point of stepping over or on people to gain the wealth and the success. But I think it is so important for us to remember that even when you get to that point of having all the wealth in the world, all the success, if you're alone with no one to share it with, because you have burned every bridge, ruined every relationship, you're still not going to be satisfied and happy. You're not going to find that peace and that joy. And the only way that will come is if you maintain relationship in both directions. So that would be my 2 cents.
That's so good.
So good.
I was reminded of one other thing. What did Dr. Monroe say? Don't arrive at death safely. Go hard with your purpose until the day you die. Take your risk.
The graveyard is the wealthiest place on earth, is what he would say.
Yeah.
And it's because a lot of people died with so much purpose and potential bound up in them, many books, many songs, many all of the things that they could have, all the businesses, everything that they could have created and shared with people while they were alive, went to the grave with them. And that's the one thing we want to do. We're living lives to die empty.
Yes.
Like he says, to die empty. So
Love it.
Yeah.
Good. So good.
Well, thank you guys so much for taking time to just be on our podcast and share. And like I said, we're so happy to finally get this time to have you guys on. So we appreciate it.
Yes, so much.
Love you.
Definitely link King's Kids below and King's Kids website and everything, so you can check that out. But we're so thankful for you guys.
Love you guys.
Love you guys.
You're doing an amazing thing.
Yes, this
Legacy
is awesome.
Builders, this is so needed. And may it go far, far and wide.
Well, it's fun that, Madison and I get to work together, and that's just a fun thing. So I get to work with my friends, and I get to work with my daughter and my family. So like you said,
the best of everything.
The best of everything. The advice that you just gave, the relationship and the relationship. How much better can it get, right? You get to work with family and friends and just have fun and make a difference. So
yes.
Yeah. Awesome.
So thank you guys again, and thank you everybody who tuned in on this episode. We'll see you next week.
Bye. Thanks so much for joining us today on Legacy Builders Podcast. Make sure to share this episode with your friends and family. And remember, today's a great day to start building your legacy.